Great, so that's 2011, the Officer Order of Canada. Graduates. To be introduced is special. To be introduced by someone that you have such respect and admiration for. Let me tell you something. McLean's a hockey guy. There's nothing he can't do with or without a script. He's always set the bar in hockey. I left Carrie a message. The way you and Don handled Humboldt and stayed in the background without stepping forward and waited till you came back on the air with that brilliant commentary. You've always been the leader. This year, you and our mutual friend, Donald Stewart Cherry, you took it to a whole new level. It's never been like this. As a boy, I wore cowboy boots and cowboy hats. I've been to the Calgary Stampede. Ron is not really a Calgarian. He's from Red Deer. Don said, make sure you tell them that they, where Ron's from, it's spelled D-E-A-R. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here tonight. Special thanks to Scott, Adam, and Randy. Over the past 50 years, and that's a frightening statement, I've been fortunate to work most major sporting events in this country and to cover Canadian athletes as they've competed around the globe. I once asked the great Jackie Stewart, the wee Scoot. We were doing the Canadian Grand Prix, and this is so apropos to Smilezone. We're doing the Canadian Grand Prix about 20 years ago in Montreal. And I said, Jackie, how does Canada produce, and this is before Jacques Villeneuve, how does Canada produce a champion Formula One driver? And the answer was very simple. The private sector has to get involved. The government cannot do it. It's time for the private sector and celebrities in the many sports in which Canada excels to step up and show leadership. Only then will you produce a Formula One champion. And believe me, what we see here tonight, and I salute each and every one of you, is a perfect example of what Jackie Stewart was speaking about. After the Humboldt tragedy, Rosie DeMann, a friend of mine, in a great column in the Toronto Star wrote, and I quote, she spoke of the ribbons of highway that bind and stitch our vast country together, and the passion for sport that makes us, us. I first saw that many years ago, in 1972 in Moscow. A lot of players still alive, including my neighbor Frank Pavlovich, but Ron, I think Bob Cole and I mean, so many of the broadcasters, the journalists, print and electronic have passed away. I think Bob and I are the only two remaining. But I saw the importance of hockey to our country, not only as one of 3,000 in the Luzhniki Arena, right next to where they played the soccer yesterday, Croatia losing to France, but I saw it when I returned home. And I also saw what decency and integrity can mean to a hockey star when he's the same off the ice as he is on the ice. They talk about the greatest goal. Ladies and gentlemen, I was in Moscow. It wasn't the greatest goal. There were 3 greatest goals, 3 game-winning goals, and the fact he is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame is a bloody shame. I would ask Paul Henderson to stand up, Paul. I know Ron and Don have led the fight. Don and I have done it on radio. Hopefully one day it will come, but to you, Eleanor, and the family, my friend, thank you, and all the best. And by the way, the first television I ever did, you remember? Channel 3 on Barrie. We come back from Moscow. I'm working for Chum, and they said, you're going to do a replay of the Super Series, the 4 games in Canada, Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver, and the 4 games in Moscow, and you're working with Paul Henderson. I said, you gotta be kidding. I was shaking like a leaf. And we take those shows, and they were telecast on Channel 3 Barrie. So, Paul, it was with you that it all started. Thank you, my friend. What makes Smilezone special, and I'm going to wrap this up quickly, I won't keep you long, is that thanks to Scott, thanks to Randy, thanks to Adam, it is continually broadening its horizon. Ron mentioned Invermere, British Columbia. My dad was the doctor at Invermere. I went to grades 1 to 5 and interviewed. For Invermere, people say, you wear cowboy boots and listen to George Jones and Johnny Cash. Where in the heck did you come from? And I tell them, I came from Invermere, BC. But as a boy, growing up in Invermere, I developed a lifelong interest in and support for our First Nations people and the objects or the obstacles and the difficulties that they have not only faced for centuries, but they face now on a daily basis. I've had the honor of talking with former Governor General David Johnston, David Onley, the Lieutenant Governor's Committee on Aboriginal Youth. Nick Javor is here somewhere from the Tim Horton Foundation. I was on the charity board. There's Nick here. And I'd like to recognize a gentleman, he's here with his 2 sons, that has done so much for Aboriginal youth through the Tim Hortons Foundation. Buffalo has never been the same. Here with his sons, I would like to introduce Brandon, Jordan, and of course, Ted Nolan. Stand up, Nolan family. And what makes what you're doing here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, so important is, as I say, Smilezone is expanding. Now, Scott's telling me they have a program to involve Indigenous boys and girls in youth hockey to better provide opportunities to expand in different areas of their lives as they grow older. And she's here. Her dance program with young Aboriginal women has made a difference to so many areas. She's from, I believe, Cree, from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And I am very proud to announce that Tracy Smith has been added to the board of directors of Smilezone. Tracy, stand up. This is great. Smilezone is indeed special. That's what makes this such a great honor tonight. And I say to each and every one of you, Ron, Scott, Randy, Adam, thank you.
After the official Smilezone Ambassador presentation, Scott and Adam will do that for you, Brian. Okay. Let's talk some of this.
Thank you.
That was fantastic, Brian, as per usual, and congratulations. And I'm glad that you mentioned the Nolan boys over there. We're on the land of the Mississaugas of the New Credit, and they were known as New Credit because they were the best business operators